Chain Lightning Vision. Today, Mother will continue with part 7 of her answer on the environment to the question, what can we do to save the planet, or what can we do to save ourselves? In part 6, Mother talked about the fact that we do need to have the courage to think about the way we live, the way we think, and that would be probably the most important thing for the environment and ourselves. So welcome, Mother, and please continue for part 7.
Well, it's my last part, and I hope to give something of a synthesis of what I said before without repeating myself unnecessarily. The environmental question, what I wanted to say is that it has less to do with the environment than we think. It's a consequence of a way of thinking, seeing the world, seeing the presence of man on earth that we have developed for over 200 or 300 years. It has to do with seeing ourselves as masters of the universe instead of parts of the universe, functioning in a whole. It has to do with gaining humility to see that in spite of all our scientific or intellectual knowledge, we do not control basically anything. One thunderstorm and everything is on the ground, and the seas are rising, and one day they might overwhelm big parts of the world, and we can't do anything with all our knowledge. Well, we can do something afterwards, but not while it happens, and I don't even think before, because there are too many factors around this that we can't control. Where are we heading for? I would say we are heading for another vision on life that makes us aware that we are not here just to have mundane pleasures. The reason why in ancient times wise men and women were asked for guidance, or they asked their opinion or their wise words, was that man was still aware that the reason why he was on earth had to do with moral factors. He was here on earth to do good, you might say, but not good on the first level, but to live up to the highest light he possessed in himself. To learn to speak out his truth and not to lie or to do things for the wrong reasons. You might say that modern man has somehow forgotten this essential point, because the intellect nowadays serves many times to talk straight what is basically not straight at all. When we hear somebody else justifying himself, we know that he's wrong. But when we do it ourselves, we think we are right. And that is one of the difficulties. Whereas real wise men that have gone an inner path of sacrifice and purification will not confound their personal opinions or desires with what is needed from an objective point of view at a certain moment. I think we will have to come back, or I would prefer to say, move on towards another life philosophy in which we realize that man has come here to gain in life experience through difficulties, but through honesty with himself. And that already starts with the education of children. Nowadays, many parents, perhaps without realizing it, encourage their children to do studies that will give them a good place in society, social status, and money. Whereas too few parents ask themselves, but what would my child really like to do? For what kind of work does he have the love? Now, if you put it in bigger terms and you look at the whole of the society, imagine that 3/4 of the people that are working in society only do that work because it gives them a more enviable status or for the money. That means that many people do not work because they love the work, but because it only gives them money or a status, a social status. Would that make a good society? And what are the consequences of that way of thinking and acting on the long run, on a broader scale? You will see then that people are frustrated on a daily basis because they never really do what they love to do. They don't dare to do what they love to do because they are afraid they will not be able to pay the rent or the assurances or the clothes of their wife or the school for the children, who are also in the system, the children, because the children also have to have the good diplomas, what you call the good rewards for to have the job that gives them the money. So nobody is really happy. And then to come out of this unhappy state, we have to fill up our lives with all kinds of activities and things, eating, drinking, to escape from the inner tension. I mean, not doing in a society what you love to do, what you have come for as a soul, creates one of the reasons the environmental problems come up. Because if you're not unhappy, basically, even if you don't dare to say it to yourself, you live in a tension and you have to get rid of that tension. And how do you get rid of it? Well, you start consuming all kinds of things. You need all kinds of things. You have a lifestyle that is probably unhealthy for the planet also. So not being happy in your life because you have the wrong ideals and living in a society where almost everybody has the wrong ideals and submitting day after day to this illusion that is unhealthy, you get sick. And the whole society ends up sick. And this sickness is also showing itself in the disequilibrium in nature. I mean, everybody is sick. Nature also, with us. And the only factor in this that can re-establish order is nature. When one day she will act and she will say no. She will have a high fever. That's to say, you will have fire, water, wind, and she will get rid of what's bothering her. As a human body does when it gets too far, who tries to do, unless we give with all kinds of pills, we try to prevent it, but that's not always the best way. So I would say what the environmental problems basically are trying to teach us is another sense of life. Discovering that man is on earth to develop moral skills. Well, the church was talking about it when it talked about the Christ and love, and there's some truth in it, a big truth. I mean, giving each other concurrence is not the goal. That makes the troubles. But cooperating, that's the new attitude that we seek, and we will get it through the problems. Cooperation, more understanding for each other, more wisdom in our daily lives, simplifying our life, not producing things to throw them away 1 week later, but making things that can last longer, using materials that are not unhealthy for the earth. That has to do with wisdom. That has to do with seeing life in another way. And I think that's what we are heading for. And from that point of view, I'm positive. And everything we can do on a daily basis ourselves to make this concrete, that is helpful for ourselves in the first place.
Thank you, Mother. That was the conclusion of Mother to the question of the environment. What can we do to save our planet, or what can we do to save ourselves? So don't forget to subscribe to be there for the next answer to one of the questions we have. And we'll see you to the next one.
Amène-moi un jour au-delà de ces nuages. Amène-moi un jour en rêve. Amène-moi un jour au-dessus de toutes les vagues. Amène